Chapter 4 turned out to be the most crucial chapter when it comes to the lore, cause we got way too much new info, almost like it's setting us up for Chapter 5 to be the final part of the Poppy Playtime saga. People have mixed feelings about this theory. And yeah, since Zach once dropped that mysterious number 6, plenty of fans still don't buy it. But in this video, we're gonna break down all the key aspects of Chapter 4's ending that straight up prove Chapter 5 has to wrap up this long and insanely wild story. We're gonna split everything into 2 parts, with the big fall after the explosion in the ventilation block as the dividing point. And speaking of the ventilation block, there's only one way to start this breakdown, by talking about that so-called ally. Everything kicked off with Ollie straight up confessing that he's not actually an orphan, but instead the most relentless presence lurking around Playtime Factory.
Is this where you are, Poppy?
What?
Stay where you are.
And listen closely. You're not going to run. You're not going to fight. The charade is over.
Who is this?
An obvious question with an obvious answer.
And pretty much right away, we're reminded of that tape. Yeah, the one where Poppy got real honest with Ollie, spilling her worries and struggles like she actually trusted him.
Nothing more than what they've already done.
Something's bothering you, Poppy. Something you need to talk about?
I don't need anything tonight. Ollie, I just want to sleep.
I think there's more to this. More that you're not telling me.
There's not.
I know what you're doing, Poppy.
Bad men don't say what they want. They don't listen. They don't care how much anything hurts. It's been weeks and weeks of taking things out and putting them back in, and taking things out and putting them back in. Over and over and over. Nothing's ever gotten better, and it'll never get better.
And now we gotta figure out, how's this gonna affect Poppy and us in Chapter 5? First off, let's keep in mind that Ollie always seemed like a positive character, someone who was actually helping us. But considering that the events on that tape happened way before the player ever stepped foot back in the factory, it's clear that the prototype's been playing these mind games for a long time. And judging by Poppy's words,
How much do you know?
Everything.
This isn't right. All those years. Was there ever an Ollie? No. This entire time, you've lied to me!
Only because you've kept
Missing the point.
it's pretty damn clear now. She was telling him everything about every update to her plan and what was going on with the so-called good monsters. And when you realize that our survival at times straight up depended on Ollie, it's honestly terrifying to think what's gonna happen to us without him as an ally. And to top it all off, Poppy ditched us, but not before dropping a major truth bomb about one of the factory's biggest secrets.
always been about you.
And we'll harm you. What we are. That's not a truth that can be burnt away. No. Not when it can mean so much more.
Prototype. Please.
It's time to come home.
Poppy.
It's time to come home.
I can't go back in the case. I can't. I'm sorry.
Y'all remember the ending of Chapter 1, right? The first time we ever saw Poppy, back then it all seemed weird and made zero sense until that conversation. Now, pretty much nobody doubts that the prototype was the one who locked Poppy in that damn case. But why? What does the prototype get out of this? And why is it so crucial for him to make sure the doll stays right where she belongs? More importantly, how's it all actually going to go down in Chapter 5? And what's this escape going to mean for us? And that's where we hit our first big problem. 'Cause yeah, we can kind of explain Poppy's behavior at this point, but the prototype, his actions seem totally random until we remember that untitled tape, the one packed with crazy valuable info.
So awful. I didn't want... This wasn't what I thought we were gonna leave. Leave the factory. Not this. All those people. Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever. I hate him. I hate him, and I hate this place, and I hate that he's... right. He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again. Doesn't make me feel better about the bodies, though. What he was saying about them. I know there's not really another option. The toys will starve otherwise. They'll die. But it's still disgusting. I wish you were here, Dad. I could really use one of your talks right about now. You'd know what to say. When you were running this place, you always knew what to say. I miss you.
First off, it's clear the prototype isn't just randomly going after Poppy. This all started right after Hour of Joy. Poppy was one of the key figures fighting back against him. Not only does she know a lot about him, but we also officially got confirmation that Elliot Ludwig is her father. And now, the puzzle pieces are finally coming together. We see just how important Poppy is, not just to the story, but to us as an ally. And just like we need her, she needs us. That explosion in the ventilation block? Planned. It was set up specifically to separate us from Kissy. Meanwhile, all those mind games and that emotionally crushing conversation pushed Poppy over the edge. She just couldn't hold it together and ran. That means the prototype successfully pulled off phase 1 of his plan to take us out. And this is why the ending of Chapter 4 changed everything moving forward. So what's next? Well, first off, Kissy's not dead. We literally saw her alive after the explosion. Plus, she survived way worse, though yeah, losing an arm isn't exactly fun. But I'm sure we'll see her again in Chapter 5. Poppy, she'll definitely come back too, but not anytime soon. We're gonna be completely alone for a while. Now, we've already talked about how Chapter 5 is gonna be the finale. Some people agree, some don't, but either way, the first part of Chapter 5 is pure survival. We'll be trying to stay alive and find our allies, and that's a huge problem for the prototype. Even back in Chapter 3, we saw that he won't attack us while we're with someone. It's way easier for him to take us down one by one. Oh, and let's not forget that little piece of our convo with Poppy.
So, if we're going to free them and stop the prototype, we need to plan for both at the same time. The red smoke you redirected from Playcare? It's an accelerant. All it needs is high pressure and a little spark, and it ignites. The plan is this. We'll fill the foundation with smoke and line it with old mining charges. Then once you, me, and Kissy have freed the orphans, our friends here will blow this place sky high. That's our revenge.
And as we figured out, this is literally the only shot we have at getting out of Playtime Factory. So yeah, the first attempt to pull it off failed, but that doesn't mean Poppy just gave up on the idea and crawled back into her case to chill as the prototype's prisoner. But here's where things get way more complicated. The one person who could have helped us, even if he was against it, because he was scared for the defenseless toys that could have gone up in flames along with the prototype, is now dead. And yeah, that's on us and Poppy. And as for Ollie, well, we've already talked about that. So now, on top of just surviving in the labs, which we'll get to in a sec, we gotta find Poppy and Kissy again and somehow pull off the only escape plan we have, all while barely having any allies left. Just the three of us. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Alright, now let's finally get into the second part of the ending. It's shorter than the first, but way more interesting. First thing we see, the Poppy Garden. And honestly, that feels like the biggest hint yet that Chapter 5 is where we finally uncover every last secret. Right now, we know that the poppy flower has some seriously weird properties, discovered most likely by Elliot Ludwig himself. After that, other scientists, including Harley Sawyer, started experimenting with it. He used poppies as the main ingredient in his creepy resurrection experiments. First on dead rats, then eventually on monsters. And this is exactly what we'll be digging into in Chapter 5, solving the mystery behind the poppy flower and uncovering its true abilities. Hell, we might even end up using it to bring someone back, someone we've already lost. But even that ain't the craziest part, because right past that long-ass pathway, we see the door, the one leading straight to the labs, the place Poppy herself hinted at during our conversation. And once we step inside, we're lucky enough to hear it.
Hi, my name is Leif Pierre, and I'm the head of innovation here at Playtime Co. If you're seeing this, you must be very, very lost. Well, rest assured, friend, our state-of-the-art laboratory is just up ahead. Why don't you just go on inside and tap one of our scientists on the shoulder? Tell them you're lost. They'll be glad to help. All right. Let's be honest. You're not supposed to be here. This is the single most high-security, high-clearance section of the whole factory. When someone finds you down here, you will be shot. And before you get any ideas, don't think you can just sneak away either. No, the second you put this tape in, it set off an alarm. So if anyone's home, they know exactly where you are. Pretty nifty, huh? Security is very important to us here. If I were you, I'd start running.
And there you have it. The big conclusion that leads us to the obvious. The main location of Chapter 5? The labs, the prototype's home turf. And since these labs are sitting right next to the poppy flowers, it's crystal clear. We're finally gonna uncover the biggest secret of Poppy Playtime. As for Huggy, well, we've already talked about his return and everything tied to it, so no need to go down that rabbit hole again. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment on what else the ending of Chapter 4 revealed and how you think it's gonna shape Chapter 5.